guys, welcome to the neighborhood. This is Pixel Street Podcast number 126. I am your host for this week, John Hansen, and Joel and Connor both died, so I brought in a little Pixel Street pal, if you will. Pardon me, it's Holden Depardo. How's it going, man?
It's going well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week. Everyone knows what we're talking about when I say that, so we're just gonna try and be a distraction for at least the next hour or so. So we're just going to talk about video games, man. How's that sound?
Sounds wonderful to me. Anything but this week.
No kidding. Before we get into
part
that...
two has not been great.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. Before we get into that, though, let's get over some housekeeping here. You can follow us on Twitter at Pixel Street, or you can go to Facebook and search for Pixel Street there. We have a new YouTube called Pixel Street Videos, where we have been putting up lists, gameplays, just a ton of stuff there. If you are following us on Twitter, check out the pinned tweet, and you can join our Discord community. It's a little small and everything, but we have some fun there. We do a monthly night thing called Pixel Street Pal Party Nights. We just get together, play a game, have some fun. Not sure what we're going to play yet here in January, but we should be announcing that pretty soon. It's going to be a good time. Yeah, and then also you can follow us on any podcast platform of your choice. Spotify, I know we're on iTunes, SoundCloud, whatever. Follow us there, give us a like, rate us, tell us we're awesome, tell us that Joel and Connor suck, whatever you want to do. I'm down for it. But with that out of the way, let's talk some video games. Holden, have you been... Yeah, right. Holden, have you been playing anything lately?
I have been. Animal Crossing has been a great distraction this week. I am working on my kind of 3.0 version of my town, and I'm like just about done. At this point, it's just like waiting for flowers to grow. Very exciting stuff. I'm trying to get all my rocks in one location so I can just like go to that one spot and get all like my stone and iron and clay and all that stuff.
I've seen people do that. That takes like a lot of work, doesn't it? Like you have to like keep breaking them and then hope that they spawn in the right location. Yeah, you have to keep breaking them.
I'm lucky enough that I had already basically paved most of my island so that there aren't a lot of places the rocks can grow. So I basically have this one spot where there's just like 6 empty slots, and so far 3 of them have been filled in with rocks, just waiting for the other 3. So I'm determined it's going to happen. It's just patience and waiting for it to occur. So that's the main thing that I've been playing is that, because it's the happiest possible thing to be playing. It's wonderful. It's a joy.
Yeah, last week we talked about how important Animal Crossing New Horizons was in 2020, and it's already looking like it's going to remain the same way here in 2021. But yeah, I haven't touched Animal Crossing in a while. After I got KK to come to my island, I really broke off from the game. I came back for the Halloween event, which was pretty fun. Haven't touched it yet since all the winter stuff came out. I might have to do that and probably get into my house and kill any cockroaches there or something.
Have you done any terraforming?
I've done a little bit. I don't know. It's one of those things where I know it's a much smaller game, but it's still pretty much a sandbox game. And when I have so much stuff I can do with it, I don't really know what to do with it.
Yep. Absolutely. So, there's one part of my island where I'm like, I'm not happy with this part of the island, so let me just like clean it out. So I just flattened it, like that part of the island completely, which first of all is very time consuming. But then I'm like, wait a second, I didn't have a plan for what I wanted to do with this. Like now I have to think like I have the whole east side of my island flattened. Like what do I do? And I'm like, I just came up with something and just like ran with it and started working on it. And it can be a lot for sure.
Yeah, when I made my island, I was really focused on getting bells, so I put as many trees in there as I could, so I could just keep selling off a bunch of fruit. And now they're just everywhere, and there's like no real like I have like my home, and then I've got the like main I can't remember the main building, and then I have like 2 or 3 villagers down there, and then across the river I have like 3 villagers there, and then when you go up the like hill areas, there's like 3 up there, and they're just all spread out and everything. There's like no real like, I don't know. I'm terrible at planning and like
Yeah.
getting everything sectioned off right. So
My
yeah,
initial
my
plan,
island's a mess.
I'm like, no, yeah. My initial plan, I'm like, oh, I had this plan with the island's gonna like work out, and I realized I did it totally wrong. So I ended up like just moving everyone to the beach. So like every house was just like awkwardly on the beach. Because I'm like, all right, I need to like lay things out and then put houses. Because it's so much work when you have to pay 50,000 bells per home to like move it. It's yeah.
No kidding.
It's a lot, and it just becomes this like barrier almost. I wish they would speed that up, because it's kind of frustrating. Where I don't want to time travel, I want to enjoy the game at the pace that they kind of intended. But sometimes it's like, in order to enjoy this, you kind of have to like, all right, let me just time travel just to like get all these houses out of like their current spot, and then I'll plan things out, and then do it little by little, day by day. But yeah, it can be a lot of work sometimes.
There are still just a lot of like little things I want them to fix with that game. One thing is just like being able to craft with items in your storage, like so you don't have to just constantly go into your room and like grab it out, and also just being able to craft multiple items at once.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
There's just like so many small things like that where it's like Nintendo, like if you just did this, it's such a small thing that could just make the game so much better.
Especially the crafting and having access to your storage items. Like with clothing, they have this a little bit better figured out, where you can have like a storage area just for your, or a dresser just for your clothes, or the wand to change outfits, not have to go to your like wardrobe. Like they figured out some of that with clothing, but clothing's not nearly the most important part of that game. Crafting is so important. So yeah, absolutely. Especially like if you have crafting tables across your island, and you're like, shoot, I needed one more softwood. Let me either bang every tree in the general vicinity, which I probably already did recently, or run across my island to get to my home, get one out of the bajillion pieces of softwood that I've accumulated, and then go all the way back again. It's just, it can be a little irksome.
Oh no, I forgot one item, so I have to run all the way back and do it again.
Yeah. And even with eating food, because like when you need to, sometimes it's better to move a tree by like eating a fruit, and then you can pick up the whole tree. But it's like, okay, I have to eat 10 fruit. Let me do this one by one each time, and it's like there's definitely things that are drawn out that could be, way simplified. So they're going to be regularly updating the game. I hope they do quality of life improvements like that. I'd imagine they would have to.
I really feel like that would be like a perfect like annual like update for them to do. Because they do have the seasonal updates, and they had some really cool stuff in there. Like I'd like to get on there just to make some snowmen on my island. But if they do like a yearly update on it to like really add in that stuff, I think I would definitely come back and give it a try again, because it's still just a great game to, like you said, just kind of chill out when everything else is on fire. So I've been playing a ton of games on my backlog lately. January is a perfect time for this, with nothing coming out until Hitman 3 does. So I have gone back and I beat the original Legend of Zelda for the first time ever. Zelda is one of my favorite.
I saw that. Congratulations.
It's one of my favorite series of all time. Probably my favorite, I would say. But I'd never beaten the first one, because when I was a kid, man, Zelda was just out of my mental capacity. Like I could not understand it at all. And even like going back and playing it, you have to have a guide that really help you through this game, because there's just there's so many things that are just like, how would anyone know that?
Bush.
Yeah. Bomb this one wall that has no hint or whatever. Lots of stuff of that. And with the 35th anniversary being this year, I thought, okay, it's time for me to finally do this. I'll plan on doing Zelda 2 at some point this year as well. I also finished Super Mario Brothers 2, which is a game that I never really liked, and playing through it, I still don't like it. It's just not Mario, and we all know that. But I did get around to playing and beating Super Mario The Lost Levels, which is the real Super Mario Brothers 2 in Japan. And man, That playing it on the Switch, having the rewind feature is like the only way I was able to beat that, because like there's how they have the like shortcuts where you like go past the end and there's like warp pipes to like take you further into the game. There's
Yeah.
one in like the fourth or fifth world that if you bounce over the flagpole and you run and you find one, but the only pipe available takes you back to the beginning of the game. It goes back to World 1, and you cannot go back and just finish the level. Like, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? There's just like so many things like that where it's like, this game is incredibly unfair. Like, it feels like one of those like games someone would make on the internet just to troll people with.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah,
It's not even
that's
difficult.
how it
That's
feels.
just trolling your audience.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
something that's not even difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of
That's
that,
amazing,
though, the difficulty stuff in there is actually really cool, because there's some stuff in there that's not in the original Mario Brothers. It's like there's one level where your whole objective is to bounce on springs, and it launches you into the air, and there's wind blowing you across, and you have to predict where you're gonna fall so you land on the right platforms so you can bounce again and just fly across the entire map. Like, there's some really cool stuff in there. When you look away from all the like trolly shit, it's really cool. So yeah, if you want to play Mario the Lost Levels, definitely do it on your Switch so you have the rewind feature, because other than the trolly shit, it's actually really damn good. My final backlog game that I just finished was Sea of Solitude. EA Play recently came to Game Pass, so I was like, hey, I've wanted to play Sea of Solitude forever, so I played it, and it's really damn good. It's I don't know. Do you know what Sea of Solitude is?
I think I do. I'm actually gonna look it up right now. Is it the one where it has it's like a shell shaded art style, and it has like the monster in the water?
Yep. So you're playing as this girl named Kay, and it's all a story about her like being depressed, and it's just like a really like mental illness heavy kind of game, where it's like really focusing on her relationship with her family, with her boyfriend, and just it there's like really some. Have you played Celeste?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic.
You know how they have the Dark Madeline there, who it's like really like her fighting with herself. That's kind of what that sea creature is with her.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's her like running away from her problems, her demons, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the internal monsters you kind of always hold within.
Yep. It's kind of like that. Really good story. Definitely more of a video game as an art more than it is like a fun game to play. It does get into some deep stuff there, and I definitely say if you're into like story games and everything, definitely give it a try. There's some platforming and stuff like that in it. Not really too fun on that end, but hey, it's there for you to play with. So yeah, I recommend giving it a try.
Yeah, it's something I wanted to check out.
Is there any
Game Pass makes it easy?
Oh, sorry, go. Yeah,
no,
yeah,
it's what I wanted to check out. It's good to hear it's a good game, and the Celeste comparison definitely makes me compelled to play, because that's what I liked about Celeste, is that kind of using a game to demonstrate mental health issues, which is something I think we need more of nowadays.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely what Sea of Solitude does. And any time I can reference Celeste, I'm going to do it, because that is such an excellent game. All right, are there any other games you want to talk about that you've been playing lately?
Animal Crossing has been my main one. I've been kind of going through some Legend of Zelda style games just to kind of like get an understanding of dungeon layouts and what makes a good dungeon versus a not as good dungeon. So I've been playing. I won't go too depth with this, but I've been playing Link's Awakening, Oracle of not Link's Awakening, Oracle of Ages. Sorry, Oracle of Seasons, which is also good. Ages is better, I think. They're very good. Yeah, I want a
In all honesty, I can't remember the difference between them. I played them on Game Boy back in the day, but it's been so long I can't remember which one is which.
Yeah, Seasons I played back in the Game Boy Color, like way back then. It's been a long time. And then I'm playing Reverie, which is a kind of indie style Zelda game, Zelda-like game, but I didn't find its dungeons to be quite as compelling as Zelda dungeons are. So I'm kind of getting a comparison of like what what's the actual difference between them. So that's been kind of interesting to do. Although Seasons might not actually be the best game to compare against. I'm going to do Link's Awakening as well, because Seasons is more of like a gauntlet. Like, it's more of just like fighting enemies and then pushing a block in a room, then moving on. It's not as puzzle oriented, but I still like that game a lot. But that's all I've been playing this week.
Yeah, I really want them to bring Game Boy and Game Boy Color games to the Switch, just so I can play those games again. Because those are games I don't really see them ever remaking like they did with Link's Awakening. If they did, it'd be awesome, but I just don't see them doing it. There's just so many like good Game Boy games that would work perfectly on Switch.
Yeah, I agree. I really, really want those games to be remade in style Link's Awakening, but you're right. Like, it's just a huge investment, releasing 2 games at the same time like that. Like, I just don't see them doing that either. I do think that for Zelda's anniversary, actually, this is one of my predictions I did on RAF, that for Zelda's anniversary, they're going to do Game Boy Color and Game Boy games on the Nintendo Switch Online kind of backlog. And it's not Virtual Console, but same kind of thing. And they're going to have Oracle of Ages and Seasons for Zelda's anniversary. I think that would make sense.
It just makes so much sense for them to do it. Right?
Yeah,
I want that. Of course, I want Nintendo 64 games on there as well, but like Game Boy and Game Boy Color games, you have to figure are even easier for them to do. It's amazing to me that they haven't done that yet.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
All right, let's move on to our main topic. So we're going to kind of look at 2021 ahead of us. Just kind of like, I want to give some predictions about what's going to happen this year. I don't want to like talk about like things like, a Call of Duty will release. We know that's going to happen and everything. I want to like really talk about like some predictions you might have that we can't really see coming. Something you want or just completely off the wall. Throw it out there. You got anything you can think of that you want to see happen this year?
So I just mentioned the Zelda anniversary. So I think the kind of the obvious prediction is that there's going to be a Zelda collection this year. I think it's the obvious thing.
Oh, please.
I know. I want it so bad. My kind of crazy prediction in that is that they are going to bring Skyward Sword to that collection. That's going to be one of the games in that collection. And they're going to do, in order to get the controls down, because the controls obviously is the important part of that game. You can't do Skyward Sword with hitting A. Doesn't work. What they're going to do is they're going to have Joy-Cons for console when you're playing it docked. That makes sense. But then they're going to do an Infinity Blade style, like on iOS, touchscreen swipes to replicate the motion controls when you're in handheld.
Kind of like what they did with Mario Galaxy with the pointer.
Exactly. Because I was playing Mario Galaxy and I'm swiping my hand across the screen and I'm like, this is actually very doable to control Mario and swipe your finger across the screen. It totally works. Why not do it for Zelda? Why not?
Yeah.
I want it. Because I've never beaten Skyward Sword either.
Yeah,
so I want
that is one that I've never even touched.
I played the first 2 dungeons and they were really good. Like really good dungeons. And then I moved, I didn't have my Wii and couldn't beat it. It was awful.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good idea. I was trying to think of how they would handle that as well, and while I didn't think of like the screen swiping, I thought, well, what if they like somehow made it so the right stick was your sword control, but then of course you have to figure out how to handle the camera, but I don't know. Nintendo, figure it out. Get back to me. Give me a collection with all 3D Zeldas and then all 2D Zeldas. Just bring me everything. Did you ever have the GameCube disc that had like the 4 Zeldas on it?
Yep, absolutely. That was. I wish I played Majora's Mask when I had it then, because I didn't play it then. But yeah, I had that collection. That was. I think it was a bonus that came with pre-ordering Wind Waker, right?
Yeah. Well. Yeah. There was one that was a bonus, and then there was one, I think, that was like special GameCube edition or whatever.
Okay.
Actually, the Majora's Mask edition on that game is actually the worst way to play that game because it just doesn't run well at all. It stutters so bad. If you ever want to play Majora's Mask, I definitely recommend doing it on 3DS. I did that this last year, and it runs beautifully on there. And they made some great changes to it.
Well, that's the thing is I have it on 3DS. I also have the Majora's Mask 3DS. So like it's
hey,
a miracle
I do too.
I haven't played it.
I love it.
It's awesome. It's the best 3DS. It's the best one.
Absolutely. Completely agree. All right. So my first prediction here is Super Nintendo World will have something vandalized or stolen on its opening weekend. I think someone's going to go in there. They're either going to like really mess with one of the animatronics, or someone is actually going to try and steal something, like maybe a coin or something. You know, those coins that they have like spinning around. I think they're going to try and steal something. Opening weekend.
Oh.
Who wouldn't do that?
Oh, I would want to take a question block. That's what I would want to take.
That would be a good one.
It'd be hard to get it out of there.
Yeah. I want to ride a Yoshi out. Just like get on Yoshi. Yoshi, go quick! They're after us.
Chad thinks that someone's going to try to jump into one of the paintings in the Peach's Castle lobby.
Oh my god! What if they did that? They had like paintings that had like, I don't know, a hologram of a painting over it, and you like would walk through it or something.
So cool.
Oh,
that would be amazing.
That would just like go through and you're in Bob-omb Battlefield. Oh no, I want it. I'm actually mad that I thought of that. I want that to be a thing.
They would have to make, like, rather than doing Super Nintendo World, they would just literally make Peach's Castle as the theme park, and to get to the different rides, you go through those paintings. That would be
so cool.
That'd be really awesome. We should work at Nintendo.
Absolutely.
Or I guess Universal.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. How do they plan out that stuff? Like, is it Nintendo that comes up with the right ideas, or is it Universal?
I think it's Universal comes with the right ideas, but Nintendo it's probably there's a consultant, I think.
Yeah, they probably like give them the okay or not.
Yeah.
They're like, hey,
like, bomb-ombs wouldn't do that. You can't do that with a bomb-omb, but you could do it with this type of creature instead. Like, they're probably there as consultants.
Yeah,
or at least Miyamoto is.
Yeah. Miyamoto looks over everything. There's not a trash can in Nintendo World that's not there without his approval.
When they bring it to America, I hope that the entire dining area isn't just mushroom food, because that was such a turnoff.
No kidding. That's actually kind of one thing I've been wondering is, like, what would the differences be between Nintendo Worlds? Because, like, it's called Super Nintendo World, not Super Mario World. Like, I wonder if they would actually like make a Legend of Zelda world somewhere. Like, maybe that would be Orlando.
In the West. Zelda is more popular in the West. Yeah, I would be more excited about a Hyrule land and getting to explore the castle and all. Like, that'd be awesome.
That would be really awesome. And then like the different areas could be like Zora's Domain, Death Mountain, Kokiri Forest. Oh, that would be amazing.
Can you imagine having a Ganon's Tower ride where it like mimics N64 Ganon's Tower, and you're climbing up the red staircase to get up to the Ganon fight room, and the music is playing as you're waiting in line to get up there? Ooh, that'd be awesome.
That'd be so cool. And then at the end, it's just the race down when everything's falling apart. Oh, man, Nintendo, you got to stop us because we're making too many good ideas here. Oh, man. All right. What else do you have for predictions?
So Ghost Story Games, who's the studio Irrational made BioShock Infinite and BioShock, but they changed their name after BioShock Infinite. They're now Ghost Story Games. They haven't released anything since. It's been a while. And my kind of line of thinking is whenever it's been a while, it's because they've been waiting for next gen, and they can talk now. So maybe we won't see their game, but it will come out this year, or it will be announced this year. Maybe we won't have the game in our hands this year, we're meant to say, but it will be announced this year, and it's going to be a narrative-driven sci-fi shooter. Just kind of like in that kind of BioShock or System Shock vein, but it's going to be much more heavily science fiction and kind of adhere to that narrative structure of those games.
Yeah, so they haven't had a game release since BioShock Infinite, and then since then, Ken Levine let so many people go because he wanted to be a smaller team and everything and focus on just smaller experiences, which kind of disappointed me at the time because I love BioShock. But yeah, I don't think we have heard anything from them since then. I know it's just been a lot of talk. I know there was like some talk about some kind of like supernatural game. Maybe it was from someone who used to work there. But
that was I know what you're talking
Was
about.
it
It's
like
a
a
game
blind person that like could see
Yeah.
ghosts or something?
Yep. And it kind of came out and then just kind of disappeared. Like, nothing really came of that. I mean, it
Uh-huh.
came out, but just no one really paid attention to it. There was a few years ago, I want to say it was like around like 2016-ish, Ken Levine was talking about wanting to change how like narrative games were done, and that essentially like you'd have blocks of a story. Like think about like Act 1 would happen, and then based on what happened in Act 1, Act 2 would be a new block of story, and that would be different in some way than
Okay.
other people based on what you did versus in Act 1 versus other people. He's kind of talking about that concept. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but that would be cool. I'd like to see something like that because decision making in games is always interesting to see, and I'd be curious to see how they handle it with kind of their lineage of storytelling in games.
Hmm. I don't even care what it is. If it's being made by Ken Levine, I want to play it. I love that dude's games.
Puyo Puyo Tetris 3 by Ken Levine. Can't
Oh
wait.
man, you get halfway through and then you realize that you're actually playing a different game. I don't know what's another good puzzle game to throw in there.
Luminous. It just turns into Luminous. all of
Yeah,
a
there you
sudden.
go. There you go. Halfway it just converts into Luminous with the words, "Would you kindly play Luminous now?"
Would you kindly tap the back of the Switch to the beat, even though it doesn't do anything? Call back to the Vita version of Luminous, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
there you go. Your Switch goes into a tear and comes back as a Vita. All right, moving on here. My next prediction is the Uncharted movie will release this year. I don't know if it has a release date or anything yet, or if they've even finished filming. So I'm just going off of nothing here. But it will release this year, and it'll be okay. It'll be fine. And you're like, okay, what? That's not much of a prediction. My real prediction here is Mark Wahlberg, who is playing. Crap, I'm blanking on his name.
Sully.
Sully, there you go, thank you. He will have tons of memes and screenshots come from the movie of him making a weird face. Like in what The Happening, where he just has this look all the time where he's like he's just gonna have tons and tons of memes coming from him, just making weird faces and everything.
And if his performance ends up like not being really good or something, there'll just be like a clip of him in like a bad acting moment, and then cut to that face from The Happening. That'll be another meme that could happen.
Absolutely. Someone's gonna Photoshop him into The Happening and running from plants and everything.
That movie was so dumb.
Oh man. In all honesty, I hope that movie is good because I do like Uncharted.
Yeah, I hope so too. It also would be like disappointing because the game is basically already a movie. Like how
Right.
could you really fuck that up? You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah, they seem to be like going for like a younger Nathan Drake story, which is cool because they like touched on it in 3, like just like looking at how they met and everything, just like seeing like I don't know their first big treasure hunt after that. That could be a cool idea.
Yeah, my only reservations are because I don't know who's writing or directing it. I don't recall who that
There's
is, but,
only
like,
been like 7 directors attached
yeah,
to
there's
it.
only been 7. That's right. I totally forgot about that. Oh, that's already not a good sign. I just don't know if Mark Wahlberg is Sully. I just don't know if I can buy into that. But we'll see. Like everyone said, Heath Ledger was going to be a terrible Joker, and we all know how that went. And then the same thing with Tom Holland. Like I don't know. Is he Nathan Drake? Am I too attached to him as Spider-Man? Like could he do
That's
it?
kind of my thing too. I didn't know Tom Holland before Spider-Man, and now I can only see him as Spider-Man.
Yeah. It's kind of like Daisy Ridley. Like no one knew of her beforehand. Now she's Rey. She's always going to be Rey.
Absolutely.
Anytime I see her in a movie trailer, I'm like, oh, what's Rey doing? Oh, that's right, Daisy Ridley. She's an actress. She's not just in Star Wars.
Yeah, she has a life outside of that.
Yeah.
All right. What you got next?
Let's see here. Okay, so all right. If CD Projekt Red's kind of their class action lawsuit occurs, actually that's not a crazy prediction. Let's not go with that. That's not crazy. I was gonna say they would lose they would lose, which is obvious. All right, here's a crazy one. The FTC will prevent Microsoft from purchasing Bethesda Studios. because it's too big of a purchase, and it could. They have been very quiet about whether or not there's going to be exclusive like Elder Scrolls, for example, on Xbox. They've been very wishy-washy about that, and a reason they might want to be wishy-washy about that is because it could create an unfair competitive advantage considering the size of some of the franchises that Bethesda have that's suddenly going to be switching over. One of the main reasons that FTC would shut down a merger is if they feel like it would be too drastic of a change within the industry, and that could be. Maybe. It's kind of up to them to decide, but I think it's within the realm of possibilities.
Yeah. You know, I never even thought of like a possibility of that not going through, because like Phil Spencer came out a while ago and he's like, yeah, the whole reason why we're not talking about this is because it's not final yet. So there's still room for something to go wrong, even though they did announce it happening.
Yeah, and it's happened. Like AT&T tried to buy T-Mobile and that was shut down because it would have been too big of a change in the industry. So like they've done it. They're willing to do it. I mean, whether or not this is on the same scale of AT&T T-Mobile kind of shutting down is a different story. I think that's more obvious why that was shut down because just market share. But I'd be curious to see where FTC lands on this, especially when the government has a history of just no knowledge on the video game industry whatsoever.
Yeah, no kidding.
So we'll see how that pans out.
The more I think about that, I don't think it would happen. I think if this were like them trying to acquire Nintendo, like that news story that came out recently, back before the original Xbox came out, they were like, hey, Nintendo, can we buy you? And they just laughed at them for an hour straight. Maybe then I could see something like that happening. I don't know if Bethesda, like, because Nintendo being like an actual like console maker and everything, then yeah, maybe. I just don't see Bethesda, who only makes games, like being shut off from that. I don't know though. Yeah, there are a lot of studios under that umbrella, so that could be it.
Yeah, the reason I jumped to that is because Bethesda is a company that's so large they literally have their own E3 conferences now, and it's not just that they make all these games, they publish all these games. It's not just one studio; it's 8 different studios. It's a huge buy. But I wonder if the FTC would counter that with, well, Sony has so many, so it would just kind of even things out more, or if they would see just too big of a swing of the pendulum at once. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I think you're going to make a good point. Like they're not a console manufacturer.
Mm-hmm. All right. My next prediction is, for the first time in what feels like forever, this year we will not see an Assassin's Creed leak.
You're right. That is crazy.
Yeah, every single year there's some kind of leak with Assassin's Creed. For the first time ever, I think Ubisoft actually get it under control.
I hope so, because I kind of feel bad for those teams. It's always some dude was on an airplane and said he saw Assassin's Creed Black Flag on like a PowerPoint on the person next to him. Something like that. I think actually that did happen. And it's always something like a meme, basically, like a joke when it happens, like the way these things get revealed. It's hilarious.
Like, so even to the point where they like leaked it in Watch Dogs once as a joke, and they're like, there was like a guy down an alleyway that was like talking about, okay, they'll never know about the next Assassin's Creed, and it is called whatever it was at the time.
That's hysterical.
In all honesty, I'm ready for a break from Assassin's Creed. I recently beat Valhalla, and I loved Odyssey. I thought Valhalla was a bit of a step back, though. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready for a break. These are huge games.
I've heard it's just too big. There's just too much.
Yeah.
And none of it's that compelling. That's kind of what I've heard from a lot of people.
Yeah. By no means is it bad. It's a good game still, but I absolutely loved Odyssey, and I just kept wanting to play. With Valhalla, I hit a point where I was like, please just be done. All right. There anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, this isn't a crazy prediction, but I just want Breath of the Wild 2 to come out this year so badly.
So bad. You have to. If anything, it's just they're planning on it. Like that has to be the holiday title.
It's been 4 years almost since Breath of the Wild, which is almost the amount of time it took to make Breath of the Wild in the first place. If they're using the same map, we don't know what they're doing. To be fair, we don't really know what they're doing.
We think they're using the same map.
I'm pretty sure they said they are. I think they said that they are.
Yeah, this is just a guess. What I think they're gonna do
Yeah.
is they're gonna have like the overworld and everything be the same.
Yeah.
There'll probably be some differences there and everything.
Oh yeah,
And
there's gonna be
then
some differences. Yeah.
and then they'll have like a low rule kind of thing. Like they had the
Mm-hmm.
underground thing in the announcement. I
Yeah.
think that could potentially be low rule from Link Between Worlds. Yeah, Link Between
Yeah.
Worlds.
Yeah, that's
So-
what I'm hoping for too. Is that there's some other big component of the world, because the best part of Breath of the Wild was the exploration. I have explored that world to death. I know like every corner of it. You could show me a
Okay.
picture of one part of the world and be like, here it is on the map. Like I know that world really well. So I hope
Same.
that they do something with the world there.
I have to continuously stop myself from going back to playing Breath of the Wild, because if I do, I will not focus on anything else. But I am I have such a big itch to play it again right now, and all that's keeping me from doing it is just hold off for Breath of the Wild 2. Just hold off, John. You can do it. Oh, love that game.
Yeah,
All
it's a
right.
masterpiece.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so moving on here. I have a list of games that we've known about for a long time but haven't released. You could say these games are in development hell. And I'm just going to throw them out there, and I want to have a discussion on whether or not we think these games will release in 2021. So, come on, phone, work with me here. So the first game I want to throw out there, because it's kind of in that meme status now of not releasing, is Dead Island 2. This game was announced in 2014, I want to say.
Yeah.
It was the same year that Dying Light was announced and released. And since then, they have switched developers, and they have just continuously come out and said, oh yeah, no, it's still coming, guys. We promise. We're like 8 years later now, and we have nothing. Do you think this game comes out this year?
I don't think this game, because at first I just totally forgot about it. But yeah, it's been so long. I don't think that's coming out this year though.
I love the first Dead Island. This game, I'm just like, just cancel it already, man. Like,
Yeah.
as
Island
much as I
2
love Dead
forever.
Island, it wasn't a masterpiece by any means.
No.
Yeah. Next up, Skull and Bones. This is that pirate game from Ubisoft that they revealed in 2017, I want to say. 2018, something like that.
Yeah, and they kept
since
delaying
then,
it year by
every
year.
Yeah, they keep delaying it every year, and at every E3, they're like, sorry guys, it's not going to be here. We'll show it at next year's E3. But yeah, we haven't heard about this thing in years, and from the reveal of it, it looks like just a pirate ship battle game. I don't know how much more is in there, how much into a like Sea of Thieves game it goes or anything. So I'm not sure like what's really holding it back or anything. I don't know.
Yeah,
We haven't heard anything.
I feel like that could come out this year.
Yeah, when you think
the
of
thing
like
with Ubisoft-
so go ahead.
Just the thing about Ubisoft is they pushed back so many of their games after, was it
Breakpoint.
Breakpoint? Yeah, Breakpoint just kind of flopped, and they kind of pushed everything back. So we're still waiting on Quarantine, which I think Chad on Respawn 5 made a good point. That's probably going to get a new name, because there's no way they're naming it that now.
Please.
Yeah, no more reminders.
Yeah.
There's something else they're pushing back, but yeah, you're right. Like it's just a ship combat game. Like how long could it really take to make? I feel like they could have started development when they announced it, and it could come out this year. But it's been in development from beforehand. So I guess I'm just gonna say yes. To say yes to any of these, I'm gonna say yes to this one.
Yeah.
But it is just strange it's been pushed back so much.
Yeah, because you look at the games that Ubisoft have recently released. You got Assassin's Creed, so we know the new one's not coming out. Far Cry 6 is about to come out. Watch Dogs just released. We have Prince of Persia coming up. Like, those are, like, their giant games every year, out of the way. So, like, you have to figure they have something else coming this year, besides Far Cry,
Yeah.
of course. Actually, speaking of Ubisoft, Beyond Good and Evil 2. We haven't heard about this game in a couple years either, I don't think, right? I think
Yeah, it's been a
2019
little
was the
while.
last time we heard anything. Maybe even
And
2018.
with Yeah, it's been definitely quite some time. They've done like developer updates, but they haven't done like an E3, like anything, or like conference anything. Yeah, this I was actually thinking about Skull and Bones in this game, and I'm like, if one of these two is going to come out this year, and of the two, I think it's more likely Skull and Bones would come out than like the gigantic, endless space intergalactic adventure where they have insanely rich detail and all this stuff. Like that just sounds really complicated. So yeah, I'm gonna say this one's
especially
not coming out
with
this year.
pandemic. I think some kind of production on this had to have been pushed back. So I would guess 2022 on this one.
Yeah, at the earliest, yeah.
Metroid Prime 4. I wouldn't really say this is in development hell, but they did switch developers back to Retro Studios, completely restarted production on this. I want to say 2019 or 2018 was when they announced that they were restarting. I want to say 2019 was when they said restart.
2019,
right?
yeah. Yeah, 2019 I remember because I made the prediction it's coming out in 2019, and then like 2 weeks later they're like, we're restarting development. So I'm like, so probably not.
Yeah. I've never played Metroid Prime, so I don't really know how big those games are or anything. I think this is a game that this would probably be their big game to focus on in 2022. I think this year we might see a Metroid Prime trilogy on Switch, because that just makes too much sense for them not to release. But this game itself, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. This is actually one I looked at when I make my predictions for this year for Respawning Fire. And I always look at like the release cadence for these franchises, especially when it's being made by the same developer. Now it's back at Retro, and they released Metroid Prime in 2001, Echoes in 2003, and then, or was it? When did it was 2002, 2004, then 2007, I think. So it's like for the 3 Metroid Prime games, and they're basically 2 to 3 years for development. So I feel like with this one, they're working on new hardware, but they can't fuck it up. Like it has to be really, really good. So I feel like they're going to get courtesy to go longer. So they could release it in 2 years and have it come out now. But I feel like with the transition of it being picked up in the beginning of 2019, there were stories around that time of like rumors, so like nothing that's actually substantial, but just like murmurs of how like developers within the company were saying, we were surprised to hear this is being taken on because we had projects within the company we were working on that weren't Metroid Prime 4. So I think there's probably some sort of transition there. So yeah, I'm going to say probably not on this one, but I think next year's a strong possibility, which is a shame because it would miss out on Metroid's 35th anniversary.
Mm-hmm. That's actually one of the things that I've been most interested in is what was Retro Studios working on before Prime 4? Like I really want to see that, because there was that big rumor a while ago that there was a Star Fox racing game being made by them.
Yeah, Grand Prix.
Yeah, that would be really cool, and I would like to see that.
Yeah, me too.
All right, next up, Bayonetta 3. This was announced a couple years ago. It's a Switch exclusive, being developed by Platinum Games and published by Nintendo. It was announced a couple years ago. I don't think we've actually seen gameplay on it. All we've heard is, hey, we're working on it still, guys. This 2021 is such a question mark for me with Nintendo, because besides Mario World, or Super Mario 3D World, we don't know for sure anything else that's coming out. Like we hope Breath of the Wild 2, there's the potential for a Metroid game. I really feel like Bayonetta 3 has to release this year.
I agree, yeah. Nintendo's such a wild card. Like you can't they're so hard to predict. Like before the Switch came out, it was like, oh, what are they going to have on the Switch? We have no idea. The whole year was we had no idea, and then it was like Zelda, Mario Kart, Splatoon 2, like Mario Odyssey, and they're like, holy crap, that's like everything. What do they have for other years? And then like last year was the opposite. We were like, oh, we don't know what Nintendo's doing for all 2020, and it's like Animal Crossing, and then a remaster of Pikmin 3, and a new Paper Mario game, and it's like, oh, that's not the same like oomph. So they're really hard to predict in that, but
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Bayonetta 3, I think is going to happen though. It's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
All right, last 3 here. I'm just going to rattle off in a row because I don't think any of them have any chance. Actually, I know one doesn't have a chance. Agent, Half-Life 3, and Star Citizen. Agent, we know for sure, is not being worked on by Rockstar anymore because they dropped the trademark on it. Half-Life 3, that's a meme. That's never coming out. I don't care if Half-Life Alyx came out last year. It's not happening. And then Star Citizen, I actually completely forgot this was a thing, and it hasn't released yet. Do you know what Star Citizen is?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Very familiar with
Okay.
Star Citizen. It's a fascinating story. It's really fascinating. I think it's real. I don't think it's vaporware. I just think they have so much money and it just keeps blowing up the project. Because they raised like $77 million last year alone.
It's I didn't hear about last year, but I knew a few years ago it was ridiculous amounts of money that they were raising.
Yeah. I'm
Oh,
curious what you think of Starfield.
Starfield. Ooh, that's an interesting one because the more I think about it, the more I think that could be this year. Because we know that that's coming before Elder Scrolls, and that's like going to be their main focus going forward. I think for Bethesda, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think that's a game that they want to put out this year. If the acquisition with Microsoft goes through, I think Xbox is going to really push for that to be like the big holiday title. I keep
Absolutely,
going
yeah.
back and forth whether or not I think it's exclusive or not. Because I know a while ago PlayStation was pushing a deal to try and get it exclusive on PlayStation. But then Microsoft came in and bought Bethesda, so I have no idea how those talks are going, and we haven't heard anything from Starfield in a while. I really think this is like the game for Bethesda this year.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that the Bethesda Microsoft merger is a reason they wouldn't want to talk about it. Because if they announce anything about that game, the whole conversation is just going to be, so is it exclusive? So is it exclusive? And just like that's all people are going to care about. And it's going to kind of detract from what they might want to say about the game. So they might want to wait until that merger stuff is more kind of set in stone and they can actually be honest and not pull a CD Projekt Red and be disingenuous with their marketing efforts on it.
No kidding. All right, so that's all I got for the main topics. Now we're going to jump into the quick news. So starting off things here, first gameplay videos of Hitman 3 are coming out. Have you watched any? Are you a Hitman
I just
fan? I
watched
guess I
them.
should start out with.
Yeah, so I watched the two of them, from one from Game Informer, one from Easy Allies, before I got on today when I saw the show notes. And yeah, I'm a Hitman fan for sure, but I am also a disgrace because I've not played Hitman Season 2. And
Dude,
I own
it's
it.
so good.
I
Actually,
know,
just
I know. I've heard it's
wait for
really
Hitman
good.
3 because I think all of them are transferring over.
Yeah, yeah. So I need to play Hitman 2 before I jump to Hitman 3, but I absolutely adore Hitman 1. I think the Sapienza level is just perfection.
It's great.
It's so good. Matter of fact, go into the video itself to kind of transition to that. I heard something about the exploding golf ball coming back, and I'm very excited about that.
Absolutely.
Exploding golf balls are very fun.
Yeah. Hitman 2 is excellent. I actually just this week I finished up getting mastery on every Hitman level in Hitman 2.
Oh, wow.
Because they had
That's
all of the
really
Hitman
hard to
1
do.
levels in there.
It's very hard to do. That's a huge props.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
It took me a long time. It took a while. But I love that game. Hitman 3 is one of my most looked forward to games this year. I typically I'm not into those like slow moving stealth games or anything, but just the way that Hitman gives you a sandbox to just do whatever you want, man. I am
Absolutely,
in love
yeah.
with it. Yeah, I actually have been holding off looking up the videos because I want to go in as blind as possible, but I absolutely love Hitman 3 and I'm excited. All right,
It looks
moving
good
on.
whenever you play the game. It looks like it's more the same in a good way. So
That's good. Yeah, there were a lot of like small changes between Hitman 1 and 2. When you actually give Hitman 2 a try after playing Hitman 1, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised because there's just like so many like little things that you wouldn't really think of in Hitman 1, but when you see them in Hitman 2, it's like, "Oh, that makes so much sense. That's so much better."
I look forward to that.
All right. Next up, the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World game has a physical release coming out, and its cover art is a reference to Sonic Adventure. Have you seen this cover yet?
No, I haven't.
It's literally, the Sonic Adventure cover, right? Where it's Sonic, like, he's like looking forward and his hands between his legs. He's like, eh.
I actually haven't. No, I've always. I never really knew much about Sonic. Let me look up the cover now for Scott Pilgrim.
I'm a huge
Yeah,
Sonic
no, I
Hedgehog
was
fan.
always-
Yeah, just look up Sonic Adventure cover, and it's him like in a circle, but he's like got his hands out and everything. They're doing that with Scott Pilgrim, which is actually a really cool reference. me being a huge Sonic the Hedgehog fan, I appreciate it.
Looking them up right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I know there's also just a lot of hype for Scott Pilgrim coming back to begin with, too.
Yeah. No, that was a game that everyone really enjoyed it, but then it being only an online game, it's probably licensed with its music caused it to be pulled from all digital stores. So everyone was like, "Hey, bring it back! We love it! We want it! We bring it back!" So they're bringing it back. It'll be when it comes out. I'll definitely give it a try. I've never played the original game.
Oh yeah, I can see the comparison for sure. Absolutely, yeah. What do you think it's alluding to? Or is
I think it's just a
reference.
Yeah, I think it's just a reference. You know how
Okay.
the Scott Pilgrim series just loves like referencing video games.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind a second Scott Pilgrim movie though.
I'd be all
You know
for
what? That would
yeah.
probably be bad. Yeah, maybe I don't want that. Maybe just leave it at the one. Maybe I'll just rewatch that tonight.
I haven't read
Okay.
the comics for Scott Pilgrim, but does the movie cover all of the books?
I never read the books, so I don't know.
Okay.
I just really love the movie.
It's such a good movie.
Absolutely. All right. Moving on. Twitch will have a different PogChamp for every 24 hours. They got rid of the original PogChamp guy because he's a complete douche and said some shitty things on Twitter. So yeah, they're going to change it out every 24 hours. So I don't know exactly what this means, really. I saw a bunch of like pictures of like some guy like going or something like that. I don't know. I'm not ingrained in Twitch as much as I should be, I guess, with what I do for work. So I guess they're just grabbing a different creator every week.
PogChamp. Yeah, I hadn't even heard of PogChamp until all this went down. But I think it's a good idea to do what they're doing because like, it kind of separates the meme from the person in the meme and kind of makes it more about the expression as opposed to like that individual themselves. So I think it's kind of actually a clever move.
Yeah, it's actually a really good idea to like. You can also use it to put a spotlight on so many of your creators as well. Like, be like, hey,
absolutely.
for this week, we've got this guy who has, let's say, 100 subscribers or something. He gets a bunch of notoriety and everything. Yeah, no, I actually think that's a really cool idea.
Good point.
Yep.
It's kind of like how Doctor Who is like someone different, like every few years.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. Yeah.
Moving on, there is a mod for Fire Emblem that includes Gilmore Girls. So if you want to click on that link and pull up the tweet, this guy...
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, this guy made a mod to include Gilmore Girls in Fire Emblem 8. So yeah, I've never played Fire Emblem or anything. I just thought this was hilarious. I have no idea what Gilmore Girls is even about, but I know people like it.
Yeah, I don't watch Gilmore Girls, but I at least like know the actors in it.
Oh.
So it was just funny to see like two completely different properties connected. It was just funny. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, absolutely. Finally, we're going to end things on a bit of a down note here. Brad Venable has passed away. He is the voice actor of Griffin in DMC5. He's also appeared in quite a few big games here. Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think he was in Last of Us 2. Just a lot of video games. And then also tons of anime roles. He's been in Dragon Ball Super, My Hero Academia, a bunch of stuff. So there was no cause of death given or anything, but rest in peace to him. Yeah, so that's some downer stuff. But yeah, I think that is where we are going to call it on episode 126 of the Pixel Street Podcast. Holden, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Where can the people find you?
I am on Twitter at Holden Depardo, but I am also on a podcast called At Respawn Aim Fire, which is a video game podcast. I'm also on another podcast now called Networked, which is just about like Apple Tech. I'm on that with my friend Michael. That's good stuff too. So keep an eye out for those.
All right, awesome. As for Pixel Street, you can find Joel at Campo63. Connor is at The Real Birch. For stuff that we have coming out the next week, I have a new list video that I will be putting out on Tuesday. I think we're gonna skip After Party this week because I have no idea what we would even talk about. But yeah, also be sure to look out for our next Pixel Street Pals Party Night. Besides that, I am John Hansen. You can find me at Revx Shadows on Twitter, and you can also find my writing on GamePer.com. My Halo Infinite feature is going up soon, which is just going on why you shouldn't give up on Halo Infinite yet. That game is going to be excellent, and you should definitely still be looking forward to it. But yeah, that is all we have for this week. Thanks so much for watching and listening, guys. We will catch you next week. Bye!